Okay, you guys made me do it. Enough people watched my first season retrospective that I'm going to have to watch the second season of Life with Derek. And oh my gosh, guys, finishing another 13 episodes, I gotta say, was more interesting. Especially since all of your guys' comments on, the incestual relationship. Yeah, Derek and Casey have a lot of chemistry. There's no, actual, kissing or actual flirting, but it does look like it's flirting. I just hear so many stories about people having associated this show with being a love story, which is crazy to me because it's a family show. Yeah, imagine if the Brady Bunch did that. Oh wait, they did in the movie. But that was a joke, guys. People thought that was real. That was a parody movie. It wasn't real. But yeah, the fact that Disney helped make this thing happen is just so funny beyond me. And I gotta be honest, guys, there are some really positive moments for this show. We cannot just write this off as if it's a bad show. And honestly, I had a lot of fun this time watching, thinking that Derek and Casey would end up together. I know, it's gross. It honestly is kind of insane, but knowing the fact that they try to be taken so seriously as this family, it makes every time they actually have an exchange a lot more exaggerated. I've been noticing a lot more than I wanted to, if that makes sense. But we've got a lot to uncover, as well as counting every time they should have got together. This is going to be a wild ride for the second season. Sit down and put on your pajamas? I don't know if that was a command or an invitation. My bad, guys. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny2000, focusing on 2000s TV, movies, and so much more. Oh, guys, I'm so excited to jump back into Life with Derek, especially considering that the worst season is over. It's not a Zoe 101 situation where I have to resent the entire show and feel bad about myself. This show actually contains a lot of really heartfelt moments, and I feel like despite all that romantic stuff people like to talk about, it's just a good show. You know, we don't have to go there if we really don't want to. My perspective can be completely clean, so let's not make a big deal out of this. Okay, episode 1, Date with Derek. Okay, yeah, I guess we're starting right off the bat, huh?
So I'm dating Derek's best friend, Sam, and things are going, well, really well.
Okay, so despite this being an episodic show, there's some serial storylines from the first season that are worth calling back, like the fact that Casey is dating Derek's best friend, Sam. This becomes a gender issue for Derek because obviously he doesn't want to see his best friend devoting all of his time to his girlfriend, aka Casey, which, by the way, this is already red flag number 1 of them being together. Don't look like you're jealous, Derek, you're her brother. But this isn't a normal relationship. It turns out they are actually pretty horrible for each other. They watch a movie together, they argue, and apparently they break up all the time to a point where the siblings all know about this. And it's funny because I feel like that is totally middle school life. People definitely got in and out of relationships quickly, and there was a lot of drama going on. This actually starts to affect Sam's work on his hockey team, the one that Derek's a part of. So Derek actually takes a conflict of interest. Okay, good. It's not about Casey. So Casey's best friend, Emma,
I'm Emily,
gets asked out by Derek because she has a crush on him for quite some time. Derek goes out of his way to ask her out, and Casey's pretty suspicious, which, by the way, Casey, it looks like you're jealous too. Weird. And yeah, she's like, do not go out with him. He's just gonna use you to try to get to her. And it's kind of true. Derek actually actively committed to wanting to go out with Emma to kind of keep Sam and Casey together. And Casey seems like a crazy person in front of the counselor being like, no, I know Derek's up to something. It's very Candace from Phineas and Ferb, I feel like. And this poor therapist has to listen to these problems. Oh my gosh, I could not imagine being him. The B plot is pretty mundane for a season opener. Basically, Lizzie doesn't know how to dance, super insecure about it, and yeah, she doesn't want to go to the school dance. Edwin kind of pries her until he learns all this, and then he relays the information to the mom, Nora. Nora's like, I need to teach her how to dance, as if it's a big deal. So then, yeah, Lizzie has to learn how to dance, but she's embarrassed and, of course, upset with Edwin for telling, and she decides she's just not going to go to the dance. So Derek was right about the Casey thing. She's very bothered by it to a point where she's like, let's cancel our date, Sam, and go spy on my brother. No! Oh my god, Sam literally walks out of the door, and I would too, Casey. This is too far. It's weird, right? I don't know. I don't want to hang out and watch your stepbrother on a date with your friend? I don't know, that's weird. Something sweet happens though. Derek's on the date with Emma, and like, he could tell she really likes him, and it seems like he's being less of a hard-shelled man and starting to be like, hey, I think I accidentally led you on. And he's pretty open about the fact that he just wanted to get Casey mad. Like, if I were him, I would have just been like, yeah, I don't know if you needed to get into that much detail. Of course, she's disappointed, but then she's like, oh yeah, I'm into it.
Did Derek just say my name?
And they find out that Casey was there with a blonde wig spying on them, just as crazy as we all assumed. So yeah, start of the season, pretty interesting. It is hard to avoid the flirtatious stuff. Having Derek and Casey both trying to get on each other's nerves by dating other people is really hard to separate from a non-platonic relationship. Her and Sam make up, which I find really ridiculous. I would not have forgiven her for saying that if I were you, Sam. Like, after all this episode, they are just in such a toxic place. I thought they dated like way longer than this too. It's been like one episode and it's already the most toxic thing I've seen. Oh well.
Lizzie and I have always had that special sister bond. Even with 2 new stepbrothers and a little stepsister, Lizzie still comes to me for advice and support.
Season 2, episode 2 is called He Shoots, She Scores, and it's kind of a clever play on the fact that Lizzie and Edwin both get advice from Casey and Derek. Oh gosh, the worst influences ever, I swear. Lizzie is really bad at hockey, it seems, and Edwin is really bad at asking girls out. Go figure. Lizzie goes to Casey for advice, which is already a red flag, and Casey is like, oh, well, you can't quit. You just have to try harder. And Lizzie's like, oh, nope, no. And then, of course, Casey sees this as a reflection of Derek's presence in the house, because everything has to do with Derek at this point. And in a parallel plot, which I think is always cool when stories overlap like this, Edwin asks Derek for advice as well, and he also does not think it's smart advice. I mean, Derek did not give good advice, for the record.
Well, I'm happy to give you advice right after you do my laundry.
George is trying to step up as a father and not just be super clueless, which, okay, George, I appreciate that, and actually assigns Derek to help Lizzie with her hockey skills, because he plays hockey, and I can't believe nobody thought of this before, but it is kind of a perfect team up, and I like the concept of the siblings having to get along with the other side siblings. Next thing you know, Edwin gets good advice from Casey, but it doesn't really work out for him. And of course, Derek and Casey start being threatened by each other helping each other's siblings. Oh gosh. So they basically bet on their siblings that, like, the better mentor would be the one who actually succeeds in what they're doing. The B-plot is funny. It's also just George trying to be a good parent. Apparently, Marty starts stealing toys from her friends and is like, no, they just gave them to me. They didn't want them. George ends up having her give everybody their things back, tells her stealing's wrong, which, by the way, he doesn't say at first. He is like, wow, that's actually kind of cool, you got away with it. And then, of course, Nora's like, George, you cannot do that, you are a father. She gives everybody their stuff back, and she was right, they don't want it back. I can't believe that that's how that resolves, whatever. The stakes get higher when Casey actually asks the girl Edwin has a crush on to come over. Oh my gosh, Casey, that's so embarrassing. And he's like, why would you do that? And she doesn't even like him, she's just like, I'll go to the dance with you if you can get Lizzie to drop out of the hockey game. And I'm like, are you really all in the same network of hobbies? I don't think you guys all do hockey, do you? Whatever. So yeah, Derek and Casey pretty much go overboard, causing the siblings to start to resent them and say they are not going to be listening to them anymore. But it's kind of a sweet moment because Derek acknowledges that, like, he was there for Lizzie when she needed him, and they're all a family, and yeah, whatever. The thing I liked about this episode the most is, like, the siblings taking a step up. I feel like a lot of this season starts to become like that. Like, I really feel like it's a good improvement on the first season. It was too much Casey and Derek back then, but you know what? It's gonna be Casey and Derek soon.
Some relationships are like emotional roller coasters. There are way ups and big downs.
Season 2, episode 3 is called Middle Manic, and it's hard to tell the difference between some of the stuff that happened in the first episode of the season and this episode because there's a lot of Casey and Sam fighting and breaking up and getting back together. It's a lot more prominent in this one, so much so that Lizzie and Marty and Edwin are all commenting on it too. Casey doesn't even know who to go to for advice. She goes to Lizzie and they're all like, we don't know, we've never been in a relationship. And even her therapist is like, wow, let me guess what you're gonna talk about. Which, by the way, she kind of disrespects him. The second she stops being mad at Sam, she just gets back together with him, and it happens constantly. Emma keeps warning her,
I'm Emily,
that this might not be a good idea, and she will not have it. She just keeps going around asking people until she she gets the answer she wants, which I think is an interesting character trait. I feel like you don't see that on TV too much, but it's so relevant to real life, you know? Like, we're all just people, like, if we don't like advice we hear, we kind of keep asking people for it until we take the advice we want. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Derek is concerned because they're going to be playing in Sweden for hockey, and I can't believe they're doing that. What a crazy school trip. But apparently Sam and Casey are making it too hard for him to play, like the first episode. Casey and Sam are pretty much like, okay, we're done for good, and Derek starts panicking because he's like, oh no, only when he was in a relationship did he do a good job on the hockey team. So Derek wants Sam to get back to Casey for those reasons, which by the end of the episode, I think he does give the right advice. It's just so crazy how long it takes to get there. A lot of the plot is about Derek and Sam's communication. Like, Derek never wants to talk about emotions. He can't even handle it when Casey cries. So, like, to get involved is almost really hard for him throughout this whole episode, which kind of makes it a lot more worth it. Derek's attempts to actually get Sam and Casey back together are kind of hilarious. He even goes to the school therapist that Casey talks to.
I'm Casey McDonald's stepbrother.
And that is just the funniest scene ever. It's so cool that, like, they're actually interacting, just because, like, this guy is so isolated from the real world. Of course, he doesn't know what to say to Derek. He's like, I wish I could hear all this. Emma and Derek kind of get into an argument because he actually uses her with all of her information about Casey and Sam to help bring them back together, and it actually works a couple times until Casey and Sam figure it out. Uh-oh, revenge time.
So I'm quitting the hockey team.
What? No. You can't quit. Dude, you have to play on Saturday.
They end the episode with Casey and Sam finally breaking up, thank God. Oh my gosh, that took forever. They were really holding on too long, weren't they? Yeah, just another life lesson on staying in a relationship for too long. Gosh, this show is deeper by the day. Either way, it's a lot of fun seeing Emma
I'm Emily.
and Derek's dynamic grow over time, because in the first season they barely talked, and now she's like one of the mains on Life with Derek now.
I think it's important to stand up for what you believe in, to take action, to make an effort. The Dereks of the world sit on their butts and complain.
But Casey is no longer going to be against Derek in these episodes. Yes, Season 2, Episode 4, The Venturian Candidate, is actually about her needing Derek, okay? Yeah, so let's get into it. So this episode, we're actually introduced to a new antagonist. His name is
Sheldon Schlepper, I got your vote?
Sheldon Schlepper.
That can't be a coincidence. I think they just wanted him to seem like slimy. And it's really good because he's the perfect person to run for the politics of the school. Casey is excited to be involved in politics and really cares about concerns for the school, like what they should do with the food. I don't know what you care about when you care about a school. Look it up. In the B plot, it kind of reminds me of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, where Cody is this big environmentalist. I think Maddie is too. Well, Lizzie is. She's the family environmentalist. And I can't believe there's this thing in sitcoms where the characters are just so devoted to one thing, they make it their whole personality. Like, I get it. Like, Lizzie does care about the environment, but I don't think she would weave it into every social aspect of her life. But I guess in this episode, she does.
Emily
has a serious talk with Casey about running for president. She's like, you are definitely going to be the social pariah and everybody will make fun of you. And it's crazy that Emma like cares so much about popularity and yet she only hangs out with Casey. Come on. But Casey kind of has a workaround for the whole situation. One, she doesn't think she could win on her own, which, not surprising, I would not vote for you, Casey. And two, she's like, what if there was a way to be cool, popular, and the president? And she's like, well, maybe Derek could be my talking head for that. So she asks Derek and has to convince him to be like the face of their campaign, and she'll do all the real work. And of course, Derek is like, at first, like making it hard to agree to, but then he does give in. Of course, he wins a lot in this scenario. So next thing you know, Derek's up against
Schlepper.
Of course, Derek and Casey do not get along when trying to do this whole campaign. Derek wants to play dirty and actually turn on Schlepper, and Casey thinks they should just be political, which it's like, why did you hire Derek if you knew he wouldn't do that, Casey? I don't know how to help you. Their disagreement pushes them to actually not work together. Casey decides to go off on her own, and Derek is still running, which I find insane. It feels like another bet episode. It feels like they're all just bet episodes where can Derek beat Casey at blank? And it's like, that's all the scripts require. In the not so interesting B plot, the family actually bows down to Lizzie and tries to follow her environmental ways, but it doesn't last long as they both start sneaking around and try to get away with stuff. And of course, Lizzie is just like this tyrant now. Casey actually catches Schlepper about to rob their house and doesn't report it. Yeah, Schlepper actually is about to sneak into the house and do what Derek does, where he wants to get dirt on them. And Casey is like, why does nobody want to play fair? And it's true, like, you just have to sneak around, I guess. Without compromising her beliefs, she accidentally does reveal that Derek did not pass first grade, which Schlepper sees as like main gold to ruin Derek's reputation. And I don't know why that would be such a big deal. I feel like if somebody told another person I failed third grade, I wouldn't be that embarrassed. I don't think it also would mean a bad leader in any sense. I don't know. It's just funny that like they're so threatened by it. And when Derek finds out, he is terrified. So Schlepper tells everybody, and it's horribly embarrassing. Like, nobody cares, and they don't even respond to him. This guy is not gonna win anymore. So it pretty much feels like a landslide for Derek at this point. But Emma actually stands up for Casey and tells everybody in the school to vote for her because she cares so they don't have to, which is a genius sell. Like, I do agree. Casey should care about the school so nobody else does because she is obsessed with control. Go ahead, control something that needs controlling. Just when we think Casey's about to win, it turns out they added something to the ballot that shows Emma wins. So they like her more, and I find that actually hilarious. It's so funny because she started the episode like being the one to do it, but then realized she didn't need to, and now she's the one in the position. Like, oh my gosh, what a world we live in, guys.
I believe if you're gonna talk, you should say something. And if you're gonna sing, it should be about something. And then there's Derek.
Season 2, Episode 5 is called Battle of the Bands, and yes, it's kind of a Casey and Derek break, which we've never really gotten at this point. Schlepper is the other band playing, oh my gosh. So Derek, Sam, and this guy Spinner are all in a band together. And if you know Degrassi, you'll get that reference. Basically, Spinner is a character in Degrassi, and I forget his name in this, so I'm just gonna call him Spinner. He's a good actor, though. He's the guy on the drums you see right there. Hi. Oh, he can't hear me, obviously.
She said it was over, but it was not over. She said it was over, but it was not over.
So the band needs a lead singer, and Derek is desperate. Somebody suggests Casey does it because she likes to sing, which, oh my god, please, 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 please don't interweave her into the plot. But he goes to all lengths to make sure that they find somebody that's not Casey. But he puts Edwin up to the responsibility of finding somebody for his band, which I find hilarious. Of course, Edwin is like just bossed around by Derek all day. Like, this poor kid needs some child labor laws. And then, of course, the result is something that I see in literally every sitcom. No candidate is good enough. What? You're telling me that nobody that auditioned is halfway decent of a singer? They always have like these comically outlandishly bad auditions in shows like this, and it like completely negates the fact that it actually, there has to be somebody out there that cares, right? But Edwin overhears Casey singing in the shower, which is
Shall sing Polly Wolly Doodle all the day. Oh, my South, she is a pretty gal.
why is she singing that song of all songs? And she's like blasting it. I would be so angry to live in the same house as her if this was her all the time. So Edwin teams up with Lizzie and they do a little sketchy meeting in the game closet, which is always so cute. I like it when the siblings like meet up like this on behalf of the older siblings so they don't fight so much. If anything, it's like kind of like a divorce lawyer. Jeez, is life with Derek about divorce? So Edwin negotiates with Lizzie to get Casey to join, and she wants creative freedom, and Derek apparently won't let her have that. But then the band gets more and more desperate, which pretty much putting them in a position where they would have to quit the Battle of the Bands if they don't use Casey, so she can essentially leverage everything over the boys. And she gets kind of mad with power and does that, and this drives Derek crazy. He's pretty much on the brink of giving up anyway, until the two have a conversation in the room, and this is the part with the tension that I was talking about earlier. Why are you guys alone here? Okay. Until Battle of the Bands, Casey just basically changes the song, the band, everything. And they become like a sad and slow band instead of a rock band like Derek wanted. And when she realizes that like maybe this hurt his feelings, she has a little conversation about it with the school therapist, and later decides to go up on stage, surprise him, and actually go back to the rock and roll version, which I I really think it takes more communication than that to perform an entire song on stage, but I'm not gonna question it because it's just a nice moment. It's nice that Derek and Casey can be in a band together, and it's not weird because there's no tension. I can't believe Schlepper just happened to be the villain again. That's always gonna bother me. But my two takeaways are how funny the siblings are once again. I feel like I'm starting to watch for them, which makes sense why I didn't like the first season. I feel like it was a lot less about them, and now it's just interwoven into the plot. But Derek and Casey feel so figured out that all these episodes are just copy and paste. They fight about this, they fight about that, they make a bet, da-da-da-da.
Call me a goody-goody, but I never lie. Honestly, it never occurs to me.
We can never escape this because the next episode is called Season 2, Episode 6, Lies My Brother Told Me. And this one is about Casey taking Derek's advice for the first time in the entire series. So straight out the gate, the episode's about lying. Pretty much Marty thinks there's nothing wrong with lying, and the dad has to talk again with his daughter to explain that wherever she picked up on this, there's no way it was him. And we talk about the difference between a lie and a white lie, which reminds me of an Unfabulous episode I watched recently from their first season. It's the same thing, like Addie ends up having this situation with her best friends where she's like, you guys lie to me all the time, it's just a white lie. And it's so funny to see this come back a lot in the 2000s because it does express that moral ambiguity between like doing something, intentionally lying not to hurt somebody's feelings, or I don't know. It just, by the end of the episodes, they usually just tell the audience it's up to you, pretty much. So it doesn't get resolved. But in this episode, Derek and Casey are put together on an assignment, which if I were the teacher, I don't know why you would think that would be a good idea. And of course, it just has to bring them closer together. I feel like just these scenes are just craving to be a romantic comedy of some sort, like a Hallmark movie of Life with Derek. I don't know, that's the vibe I'm getting in the scenarios they're put together. They don't finish their science project on time, or Casey doesn't finish both of their science projects on time because of course Derek does not stay up late to do it, and he's just like, we should just lie to the teacher. And she takes this advice and is like, yeah, my dog died. And so Casey's actually going down a dark path. Okay, now it's for real. And the teacher actually is super sympathetic and overly emotional about it and is like, yeah, no, I get that. I would definitely not finish my project either. And even hugs her while she's crying. Oh my gosh. So this poor woman thinks she met her one true friend in the world that understands who she is, and Casey's manipulating her. Oh well. So then, next thing you know, instead of finishing this whole project, Casey has to keep up with this lie constantly at school, and it eats her alive. Of course, Derek keeps trying to coach her through it, but he's more of an antagonist in this scenario. Like that little devil on your shoulder, I feel like that's Derek. This teacher even comes to Casey's house, which cannot be appropriate. If my teacher showed up to my house to wish me condolences about my pet, I think I would be uncomfortable. I would be like, how did you get my address? But yeah, so she's just extra sympathetic once again. And Casey is taking it all out on Derek now. Like, she has to keep doubling down, and this just happens to be the hardest lie ever. It's not even like Casey can tell a white lie, she just accidentally told the biggest lie she could have possibly told. Next thing you know, she pulls her parents in on it, and everybody tries to back up Casey. And for a moment, I'm like, wow, Casey's actually getting away with this.
Only to get Casey to tell the truth.
So you knew all along?
Casey, you are an excellent student and a truly terrible liar.
But then Derek comes in and wastes the entire thing.
Casey, I finished Bob's eulogy. Oh, Mrs. Pummelman. Are you here to pay your respects?
Too late, Derek. The dog's out of the bag.
Which is so funny because Derek would totally be the character that gets mad at the person who blows the surprise, not the one who blows the surprise. So it's just cool seeing him like that. And of course, Casey knows to never listen to Derek ever again, except for when they're married, because they have such a crush on each other. But that's not their fault, it's the writers. I swear they're putting them in these weird intimate setting, and this is in fact a Canadian show, so I'm not sure what the morals translate over there, but yeah, that's what's going on. Overall, this episode does prove that Life with Derek is getting better at comedy and having an entire episode that is a little bit more funny than it is serious or with a big moral lesson. I mean, they do talk about white lies, and I'm continuously confused at why they have to talk about white lies in 2000s media.
Since breaking up with Derek's best friend, my dating game has been in a major slump. Maybe the best way to improve my game is to find a good coach.
Next episode is season 2, episode 7, Crushing the Coach, which at this point the show feels like it invented all the 2000s stereotypes. Like, I don't know how we have like the bickering brother and sister with opposing views. In this episode, basically, Lizzie is being coached again, because I think she cares that much about sports. I don't know. The environment seems to be calling her more. And the coach is apparently really attractive. They end up inviting this coach to stay at the dinner, and he gets to know the family, and it's weird because it's like him and Casey kind of have a connection. Of course, Derek is not on board because I don't know why it has to be a normal family. Derek, just stay out of this. Please don't be a part of the plot. A lot of the times when Casey and Lizzie's coach are flirting, Lizzie starts getting a little standoffish, and she's like a little bit bitter toward her, but nobody can understand quite why until Edwin does point it out later.
You have your first crush.
I don't like Scott. I don't like any boys.
Classic.
And then it's making it a lot more sad because, of course, Casey and him like each other a lot, until we learn that he's actually a bad guy. What? All males in the world aren't perfect human beings! You know, Derek and this guy have an intimate conversation pretty much, and he's like, yeah, I date all the team's sisters. And it's like, aren't you a grown man? This is insane. Like, he doesn't even look like he's in high school. This is creepy, right? Is that just me? Please comment below, and let's take down the coach! Hashtag take down the coach. This is where Casey starts to get into a moral dilemma and is like, oh, I guess I can't really see him if Lizzie has a crush on him, and then talks to her therapist about it, decides to actually talk to Lizzie about it, but Lizzie's like, no, obviously you can't, I can't tell you to do that, but Casey has to be like, well, should I then, if you're telling me not to? I mean, it's a nice genuine connection, but she has an opportunity to avoid a really bad situation here. The end of the episode actually gets kind of cool because Derek brings all the other girls Scott is dating. Scott's the coach, by the way. And right in front of Casey, they learn that he is a bad guy. Oops. Oh well. The end. Now Derek could finally be with Casey. Oh wait, I forgot, they're siblings. But yeah, overall that episode was really cute. I feel like involving Lizzie being the main heart of the story is perfect for this show. Like, we need to get a little bit of balance and not just Casey and Derek and Casey. Just bring other people into the narrative. Then Derek asks out one of the older sisters. Okay, so I guess you're not morally the same. Whatever. This episode's over, guys. I'm gonna move on.
For guys like Derek, every day is prank day. And his favorite target?
Next is season 2, episode 8, Prank War. Oh my gosh. Okay, so many 2000s episodes have this where they focus on the characters pranking each other. And I don't know why it's such a commonality. Big Time Rush does it. They have like a prank episode every season. I know Brooklyn Nine-Nine did something similar where there was one episode a season, they would just pull this elaborate prank. Happened a lot on How I Met Your Mother. Something about it was just so fun. I guess the mystery of it all. And that's what this is kind of about too. Actually, surprise, surprise, it's Derek versus Casey in this situation. Look, all these episodes can be excused as generic as well as this show, but you can't argue. When we look at Casey and Derek, we're like, dang, not everything's generic about this. Very confusing. So yeah, Derek is praised for being the ultimate prankster, getting away with anything, to a point where even George, his father, is proud of him. Apparently he was a prankster in his day too. And Nora does this thing she does in mostly all the episodes where she sees George act like a literal teenager and has to bump him into reality and be like, hey, remember, you're a human? You gotta admit though, Derek does get Casey pretty good when he wakes her up on a Saturday morning and says she's late for school, and then she literally goes to school. Oh my gosh. Oh, poor Casey, but hilarious joke. So Derek pulls a prank on Casey that just goes too far. I guess he just compiles a locker full of books. I don't know why that's a prank. And she's like, no, I'm gonna have to sink a little bit lower. So Casey ends up pulling off a prank with the help of another student, and later Derek is being congratulated. Everybody's like, good job, Derek, and they learn that they put all of his office supplies on the roof of the building. Oh my gosh, and they left Derek's ID. But it turns out Casey's the one who did it, which is so insane. At first, Derek is like kind of taking credit for it, but then when she confronts him, he admits that he didn't do it, but doesn't really believe she did. Oh, until he does. I guess it's not that long before he does.
Tinker, Tomlin, and you? Impressive.
Sit.
Derek is meanwhile taken to the principal and about to get full-on expelled for this prank. Oh my gosh, Casey feels horrible. And it's funny because George gets called in to talk to the principal, and he is not super helpful because of his whole prank master stuff, but he does a good job at cleaning up and being a dad when the moment really calls for it. Derek doesn't really defend himself. He kind of says he doesn't do it, but doesn't have a lot of proof. And Casey manages to get the entire school to rally against freeing Derek instead of coming clean. Oh, okay. I guess that'll work. So yeah, everybody in school riots outside the principal's office. It doesn't take long for him to be like, okay, I guess forget all school etiquette, rules, and procedures. I'm gonna let this guy go for free because you all cheered for him. Okay, fair enough. Another episode where Emily leads the charge on solving all the problems by just announcing something to the school. Which, by the way, I feel like we're at school a lot more in this season than we were last season. But then again, I repressed last season, so let's just get back to the episodes.
I love the rush of performing for a live audience, but beforehand, I'm freaked.
Season 2, Episode 9 is next. It's called Freaked Out Friday, and this one's actually pretty epic. Like, I feel like you guys, if I had to recommend an episode to watch, this is the one because they tell a pretty unique story and then also have Edwin and Lizzie kind of take over this episode. Yeah, so Edwin and Lizzie are starting to get super resentful because Edwin watches cartoons on Saturday and Lizzie just wants to go to her game. We get a bunch of flashbacks throughout the episode that show how little Derek and Casey appreciate Edwin and Lizzie, and the two team up essentially to stand back and not do anything for their older siblings, which is actually a lot harder for them than you think. And I kind of feel bad because it's like, it's so sweet that they're loyal to their siblings that it's actually hard for them not to do them favors, but like, it's important. Like, it's almost like a codependency issue at some point. Derek is literally about to beat Edwin up because of his defiance, which, so Derek, I definitely think that's fair. And they have to keep meeting in the closet to figure out how they're gonna go about this. So Derek and Casey essentially team up against their younger siblings, and these guys finally get the power back. I feel like they never have the opportunity to have the upper hand or even like have a say in the household because of how loud Casey and Derek are, but the fact that they stick to their guns and hold to it so well is amazing. The parents kind of annoy me in this episode though because they are not on the sibling side. They're like, you should probably go help your older brother and sister, and it's like, guys, these guys have not gotten appreciation ever. They have a little talk with them and it feels like everything's gonna be resolved, but not really because they expect them to go to Casey and Derek's thing. Oh gosh, okay, but then Edwin and Lizzie do stick to their guns at the very end of the episode and actually decide not to go to the events, which I like. I feel like it could have been easy for them to be like, yeah, we're gonna compromise our beliefs one last time, but no, they actually had the siblings follow through, and Derek and Casey lost, and it almost feels like a win. Like, are we starting to view these guys as villains? Because honestly, they are kind of wacky at a certain point.
For guys like Derek, everything is a contest. The lamer the game, the better.
Now, out of all the episodes we've seen so far, Season 2, Episode 10 has dared to name itself The Bet. You're kidding me, right? Every episode is a bet, okay? They're siblings, they bet against each other all the time. They fight off their romantic endeavors just to stay on opposing sides. Like, Derek and Casey have been always making bets. But hey, this one isn't that different. It just adds a lot of makeup to it. And I guess it is funny for that instance. Let's dive in. So basically the bet is that Casey can't get this guy at school to like her because he's alternative or emo or goth. I don't know what we call it anymore. I remember calling it goth back then though. It was fun to have goth episodes of TV shows where all the characters were normal until one went goth. Yeah, that was the revolution. It's kind of condescending though that Casey has to change her whole personality just to be like him, and she just wears like dark clothes, like as if that's all there is to him. The wager is doing chores for a year. Definitely a high school thing to do. So yeah, she keeps trying to get this guy to fall for her, and it is not working. Of course, Edwin doesn't even know what that means, and Derek just explains it's music, pretty much, but I don't know. That guy's not dressing up like just music, Derek. Even at the dinner table, I feel like they treat him like he's a second-class citizen. They're like, he probably eats without meat. And he's like, I'm punk rock, not a vampire. And it's so funny to think that this is like the discrimination that was happening. Like, what group is this protecting? distracting. But the dinner scene in this whole episode is probably the best part because it's Derek trying to undersell Casey's new personality, and Casey's trying to impress this guy, which, gotta be honest, if it were me, I don't think I could impress anybody with my family circulated around me. And this is the latest I feel like I've seen Casey approach the therapist in an episode, which is so funny because obviously he doesn't believe she's actually goth. Like, he can tell right away that she's doing something to combat Derek, and that is another red flag for the relationship issues. This emo character is actually really relatable and isn't what everybody perceives him to be, which is a really good plot point. At the very end of the episode, when Casey admits why she went out with him, he admits that he was going out with her to get closer to Emma.
Emily.
Huh. Didn't see that coming, did ya? Yeah, Casey's best friend, Namek. At least Casey feels like she's off the hook and morally not held accountable for the fact she just used this guy, brought him to her house. I don't know. That's not fair. It almost feels like a happy ending for Derek because he's constantly like, no, there's no way Casey can win this bet. I don't know how to do chores. And of course, he wins in the end, which is funny because it's like a moral lesson for Casey, but then she's stuck doing chores for a year. Yeah, that was a crazy bet, Casey. They also gradually have Edwin kind of like the punk rock world. Like, he starts wearing mascara throughout the episode, and then by the end, he is full on looking like this guy. And honestly, it's a good look for Edwin. I feel like I could see him fitting in with this community. He also seems like he's got the energy for it. I'm not sure what that means, but you guys are just gonna have to take me by my word. All around good episode, but the plot was just so generic, I didn't even know what to do with it. I don't know what to note about it. I don't know what to say. It feels like this entire show in a nutshell. So maybe I would show this to somebody who wanted to get a vibe of what this entire show was like. Maybe somebody to question, why are the brother and sister so tension? And I'd be like, I don't know what to tell you.
Since moving into the same house as Derek, a pattern has emerged. He's Mr. Chills and I'm Miss Freakout.
Now we're getting to the last 3 episodes of the season. Number 11 is called Of Mice and Men, based on that old fictional book. Funny enough, the episode starts with Edwin and Derek having their super sudsers taken away by George. I guess they can't do water fights in the house, obviously. And we learn pretty quickly that Derek is actually afraid of mice, which is kind of a funny trope. I would be scared of a mouse too. The B plot is kind of wrapped into the A plot. There's this popular girl at school named Kendra, this blonde girl, and she plays Paige Michael Chuck in Degrassi, The Next Generation, if you've ever seen it. She's a really good actress. I like seeing her on screen. Seeing her in a comedy feels so much more fitting for her because she's just such a good actress in that regard. And I wouldn't be talking about her so much if she wasn't important to the plot, so stick around because she's gonna be coming back a lot of times. She wants Casey to be her lab partner because obviously Casey is not gonna ruin it and get a F, so she decides to help her. Because obviously if she works with Casey, she wouldn't fail, and I guess that's just what she wants to do. And she's not even vague about it. She's like, oh no, like, I need you to do the work for me type stuff. Emma is always pro popularity, so she's like, Casey, you have to do this. And this character is getting a little bit more unlikable for me as the show goes on. She doesn't seem out for herself all the time, and I don't know, it feels like it's a lot about her. We find out pretty quickly that the popular girl has a crush on Derek, so the fact that she's related to him actually makes her a part of the cool group, which I don't know how. Casey cannot pretend to even fit in. Like, even at the lunch table, she can't act like she knows what these girls are talking about. Kendra ends up coming over to study, and of course she gets infatuated with Derek, keep trying to find excuses to talk to him, and I would feel really disrespected if I were Casey, especially since she's pulling most of the work for the project anyway. Casey ends up lying to Kendra, saying that Derek is not interested, meanwhile telling Derek that Kendra's not interested because he's too immature. Next thing you know, George is having a talk with Derek about being 4 years old, and it kind of inspires him to grow up a little bit. And by grow up, I mean he just puts on a different shirt and we call it a day. So he tries to act like he's mature, and that's a new for Derek, showing that maybe he actually does like this girl. But yeah, Casey feels bad for sabotaging the date, and Derek seems to drop this whole mature act when he thinks he can't be with Kendra. So next thing you know, Casey invites Kendra over for the night to study, and of course they get a chance to reconnect. And I guess Casey is just still used to finish this whole project. Oh well. And Derek and Kendra seem like they're gonna be in a relationship, which is funny because Sam just left, and I guess only one sibling can date somebody at a time, so that way the other one can feel jealous. Yeah, I'm worried about it too, guys. This episode is unique though because we get to see a side of Derek we've never seen before, one we especially wouldn't see in the first season. And I like it when shows can distinctly separate their characters from their like beginning arcs. You know, like it definitely improved as it went on.
I'm liking my new life. The school, the house, George, Marty, Edwin, even Derek, when he isn't around.
But we take a break from the relationships when we go to the next episode, Season 2, Episode 12, The Dinner Guest. This one starts out with Edwin trying to get money for a new board game he wants to create and going around asking people for it. I mean, he just wants money. This episode is really special because it actually is the first one that we see Casey's dad in it. Ooh, backstory. Yeah, I love it when TV shows kind of invite older characters to give us insight on where the characters were at back then compared to now, and seeing kind of how it messes with them. And this is a very interesting one, especially since it's the ex-father, because there's the conflict of the mother not wanting him, George not wanting him, and yet Casey really wants him. Lizzie too, she misses him. It's their father, so clearly they want to see him. Marty, Derek, and Edwin actually seem excited to meet him too. Like, Derek wants to go out, but instead cancels it just so he could meet Casey's dad. And I don't know, Derek, that sounds romantic to me. Edwin, of course, wants to pitch his dad his board game because he might be rich. I think so, because he's a lawyer. And good for Derek, he lasted a full episode, not even a full episode, dating Kendra. That's actually a pretty big deal. Like, seeing this side of Derek in a relationship shows that he does have, like, a soft spot. And I like that. I like that there's a little bit more hope. He's getting more likable as the series progresses, which makes sense. Doesn't excuse any romantic connection between him and Casey, though. I don't care how nice he is. So nobody's really excited for their dad to come. Like, George is a little anxious, Nora is downright unhappy, and Casey is spearheading this entire dinner. It's like really fancy. She wants them to dress up, even George wear a blazer, which I don't even know if he knows what a blazer is, Casey. And it's gotta be the perfect dinner. Doing what she does best, trying to be a control freak, which you gotta argue, no other character goes as hard as Casey. For a moment, the dad jokes that he's not actually going to be there tonight, making Casey feel super bad, but he ends up actually showing up. I don't know what the point of that joke was. Definitely scared her, but did she gain anything from that? Not really. It just gave a weird impression of her father. The first time we see him, he's lying about not showing up. Okay, weird start. The dad surprisingly gets along with everybody in the Venturi household, and I was surprised at that. Like Marty, Edwin, even he pals around with Derek, which I guess he's gonna be his son-in-law soon. No, that's not even funny. I'm gonna step away. Casey tries to kind of control the social air. Like, she's like, oh, don't talk to him, do this, and I don't know, you can see her controlling side actually get a little bit over the top, because it's not like things are going wrong, so seeing her correct almost nothing is concerning. These Canadian actors are really good. I feel like whoever cast the dad definitely had a good spot for this, because I definitely see him playing Casey's dad. You could tell there's like a little bit of irresponsibility, like the way he bonds with Derek and the way he kind of goes about life. It's pretty irresponsible. Even at the end of dinner, he ends up being like, okay, I have to go to the airport and get out of here. And we're like, so this is this guy's true colors. I feel like you're waiting this whole time to see like what he's really like, but he never really gets that concerning. You know, like, he's Casey's father. He seems like he definitely raised her, but he's not super mature about it. And it's really sweet because when he leaves, Casey's kind of heartbroken but doesn't say anything. You know, she worked so hard on this night, and the worst thing that could have happened is just that. Like, she could have ended on a disappointment or feeling abandoned, which I definitely feel here. But he does kind of turn over a new leaf and comes back, misses his plane on purpose just to spend more time with her. And this guy is actually not half bad. So it's kind of nice to know that he's not just like a jerky character. And yeah, being this Canadian actor, he is very good at playing irresponsible yet somehow really responsible, if that makes sense. All around, nice episode that we get a little backstory. I'm surprised how long it took, honestly, like, to already be at the end of the second season. This is the first we're hearing of her dad. I mean, were you guys running out of plot lines? Oh well, it's okay. It was a good episode. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Being boyfriend bliss is no biggie. Just because Derek and Emily and everyone in the world is paired up doesn't mean I'm panicking.
With all that said, it's finally time we come to the second season finale, Season 2, Episode 13, Dating Game. Wow, it's so crazy how quickly we went through this season. I feel like the first season was such a long drag, and this one was more fun to talk about. There's a lot of improvements, not only with the characters, but like the dynamics of the characters. Derek and Casey are, Derek and Edwin, Marty and Casey. Casey. There's just everybody is getting along in a new way. It feels like the show found its groove here, and I'm liking it. I feel like they didn't have to lean on more sexist tropes or like have everything be shocking. It feels like they kind of grounded the show to be more of a family comedy, which, by the way, I'm so sorry. I remember my first video, I said that the Brady Bunch was an 80s show, but it was a 70s show. Yeah, see, I put that in here so nobody can get mad at me. People were really upset that I said that. I'm sorry, guys. I definitely missed that original sitcom. But yeah, the final episode is Dating Game. And this is so funny because everybody is in a relationship except for Casey. It's time for Casey to reflect on herself. No, I'm just kidding. But really, the episode starts us already knowing that Derek is with Kendra, and we find out immediately that Emma has a boyfriend. And it's not even the emo guy, the goth guy. I thought they would be together just because he said that, but it turns out that was just nothing, and we've moved on already. She's dating Schlepper from the President episode. Why? Why are you dating it? Oh, whatever. Kendra kind of sticks her nose in everything now that her and Derek are dating. She's found her way to family dinner, which I find a really interesting detail. Like, I feel like not a lot of shows show the grounded day-to-day life of like living in the suburbs and going to school as a teenager, but here, like, we actually see them eating dinner together. I like that. And she's like, oh, Casey, we're gonna have to find you a boyfriend, and everybody is so, obviously, they're like, who in the world would date Casey? Kendra ends up taking surveys from everybody in the family to try to get a gauge for what Casey might want in a man, and I love this. I can't believe that this girl is going to be playing matchmaker and Casey is going to be the client. Like, what in the world? George comes in to interrupt Derek and Kendra because he's like, she should be going home now, and so far, only thing they've talked about in his bedroom is Casey. What? Okay, whatever. Now Derek is bringing his girlfriend in on this whole conversation. If I were Kendra, I'd be like, you guys talk a lot. I know you're the same age, but it's weird, right? The only real weird coincidence about that is the fact that they say they hate each other, yet they spend 90% of their day together. Not only just like a normal 90%, but like every second they have a choice to be around somebody, it just always happens to be one another. Whether it's because of a plot or how I imagine in between episodes might be, it's just always them. So Kendra's like, let's have like a little party where Casey can meet all the candidates, and they kick all the siblings out, which, wow, guys, not nice. Everything is all for Casey at this point, isn't it? And they actually have this event at the house. Of course, George is opposed to it, but Derek makes sure the parents stay upstairs, which of course you would do if you were having a party. And of course, they come down just to be a part of it for a moment. The parents even end up fitting into the party. Like, the people like them there, which it's so funny because that was such a thing growing up where your parents would always be like the cool people. Like, you always want to talk to your friend's parents. I remember that just being a thing. The big climactic point is Casey giving up on this whole thing, being like, I'm gonna be single forever. And we're like, I don't think that's true, Casey. But yeah, all the guys Kendra picked are weird.
Tell me about your past relationships.
I have no past relationships. I'm saving myself for the perfect woman, and methinks I found her.
I don't know how in the world Kendra met these people. Like, this guy's wearing like a black turtleneck, like some theater kid. I don't know why she thought these people would be good for Casey, but oh well. Casey gives up, and Derek is like, this party is just not even fun because of his parents like getting involved. And this is where the weird thing comes in. Turns out this party actually works. Casey's like hidden in her room, and a guy walks in, his name's Max, thinking this is the bathroom. What a beautiful way to meet your future boyfriend. Yeah, if you've seen this show, Casey does end up with this guy. Spoiler alert, you're gonna have to watch the next video to watch me spoil it again though. Robbie Amell is the actor, and he's actually known for True Jackson VP. I love True Jackson VP, so that's just why I had to point that out. He plays True's love interest as the main character there too, so I guess this guy's just eye candy to those casting directors. Oh well, I do remember this relationship seeming a lot more genuine than her and Sam anyway, so it's not like I'm worried about it. But it's also interesting that Derek goes into the next season with this girlfriend. I can't believe that, like, by the end of the whole season, Casey and Derek both get a win. It's so interesting to see the Venturis evolve as a family from where they were last year to this year, and like all the improvements they're making, which I would argue are not super improvements. You know, aside from all the romantic tension and how the back and forth between Casey and Derek is a little too friendly to be considered stepbrother and sister, they've essentially gone a lot more downhill. Like, the show gets funnier, it gets more upbeat, the character dynamics become a lot clearer, but the people's lives in it are terrible. Like, Casey is becoming a lot more insecure. She cares more about having a boyfriend than she did about her, like, obviously, like, her goals in the first season. And then here, Derek is getting softer and not liking it. If anything, he's, like, kind of jumping into this Actually, no, Derek is doing good. I'm not even gonna say all that. Derek is good this season. He's doing better. The actor is really good at playing a jerk with also an emotional side. I feel like that part did come out a lot, and I'm not giving that enough credit. I feel like the family took a little bit more of a back seat to the B plots more than the first season, but not in a bad way. It's cool that we got a lot of the same vibes from the first season, but only improved. I can't believe all the reactions to that first video talking about Casey and Derek's relationship. Like, I've never met people that all understand me, and now it turns out the entire internet does. I don't like seeing them together. It's weird under these contexts. And some of the stuff they say to each other in this season, you just have to watch it for yourself. I'm certain I missed it in this video. So now that we've done season 1 and 2 of Life with Derek, I guess all that's left is 3 and 4. The only issue is season 3 is like 26 episodes, so I might have to break it into 2 parts. But please let me know if you like this video, and I will for sure go for it. And I like this show now. Like, I feel like the first season was a little rocky, kind of like Zoe 101, where I went in with the intention that I wouldn't enjoy it, and then partially enjoyed it. But I definitely went into this show and that show with the second season less hope, and my expectations were a lot more lower, and that actually improved the show a lot for me. I just need to laugh in order to enjoy a show, and I did that a lot more this season, and I noticed it. You know, like, it didn't feel like an average sitcom, just the way the Venturis got along, and I'm really happy with that. I like seeing Emma and Derek's relationship get a little deeper, or Emily. Oh gosh, I messed that up this whole video, didn't I?
Emily.
Anyway, yeah, so them, Casey and Sam going from in a relationship to not in a relationship. There were so many sides of these characters that could only come up when you know them so well, and they did a good job this season. I like that we're starting to see more Degrassi characters. We got Spinner and Paige from the Next Generation in this, and I didn't realize Kendra was going to be a recurring character. I thought Paige was just coming back for a couple episodes, but no, she's in this, and she's good. Like, it's hard to ignore that fact. Ending on giving Casey a boyfriend to kind of level out her and Derek is such an interesting choice, because I know this third season has already been premiered and been so long ago, but I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'm really excited to dive into how that progresses. Before we end this video and kind of give all this stuff away, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching my videos, liking, sharing, hyping, whatever that one last one is. And it's just been such an honor to make these videos for you guys. Thank you so much. And if you want to support me further outside of my videos, my new musical, The Consequences of Victoria Gray, is coming out soon, so I would love it if you guys give it a listen, give it a share. If you like emo teen dramas, this is 100% for you. We definitely cross to a dark realm in this musical, so I would love to see what you guys think of it. Please give it a listen if you can. And until next time, everybody, thank you so much for giving me your ears for an hour and 10 minutes. I think that's a reflection of you. The fact that you chose to watch this for an hour and 10 minutes. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's a reflection of you. Thank you guys so much. Okay, have a great day. This is Johnny 2000 signing off.